In this video, I'm going to show you 5 business models that you can have up and running in less than 30 days. By the end of this video, you'll be ready to pick your perfect business and launch it. If you're excited about this video, please subscribe so you can see more of my great content. I put out a new video every single Tuesday, and sometimes I release secret content other days of the week for my subscribers. To get notified, hit that bell. I've been making a living from my own online business since February of 2010, and it's how I can afford to live in paradise with my wife and 4 wonderful children. Along the way, I've helped tens of thousands of people just like you to start their own entrepreneurial journey. Before we get started, I want to make it clear that this is for people who actually have time to invest in building a new business. As I teach in my completely free book, Fire Your Boss, you need either time or money to invest in starting your business. If you're anything like me, when I started my online business journey, you have a lot more time than money. These business models will help you to build that financial runway that you need to get started. If you already have some runway, you may want to skip straight to building passive income with my video, Top 5 Business Ideas That You Can Start Today. Step 1, assess your assets. Make a list of all the assets you possess that you can leverage into building your new business. Make a list of all your skills, talents, expertise, gear, relationships, and passions. Skills are abilities that you have spent your life perfecting and improving, while talents are natural abilities that you were born with. A great example of a talent is perfect pitch, which my grandmother had, but failed to pass on to me. You're either born with it or you're not. Areas of expertise. What are some subjects where you are super knowledgeable and can talk about for days? Do you know everything about Bitcoin or changing a tire? Do you have a deep knowledge of databases or Photoshop? Add it to your list. What kind of gear do you have that you could possibly use to generate some revenue? Do you have fishing poles, karate gis, or horse riding helmets? Do you have a mobile DJ setup from when you thought about being a wedding DJ? Do you have a car you could rent on Turo or a garage you're not really using? The goal here is to list absolutely everything possible in this phase, even if right now you couldn't possibly think of a way to use it to generate revenue. I've seen some people take their old worthless computers and turn them into Bitcoin mining machines. Sometimes we don't know what's possible until we know what's possible. So please put too much on your list. We'll pare the list down in a moment. Next, we have our relationships. Do you have a friend who owns a car dealership or can get you conference room space at a hotel at a massive discount? Do you know an amazing mentor? In this section, we can list all of our contacts and the assets that your relationship gets you access to. Nothing is off the table right now. And finally, we want to add our passions category. Are there topics you love learning and talking about? This is where you put the topics where you're not an expert, but you really get excited thinking about them. What do you talk about even when nobody asks you? Put it on this list. Once you have completed the most exhaustive list of assets that you can, it's time to assess them to find the one that you want to leverage into profit first. Step 2, look at the competition. In this step, we want to answer one core question. Are other people making money doing the same thing? Are other people renting out space for local bands to practice or their cars to Turo? I don't want to be the first person in the world with an idea. I don't want to be the trailblazer at this point. I want to find something where I can be a small fish in a big pond. I want to see if other people are leveraging a similar asset and they're actually making money from it. The last thing I want to do is replicate an idea that's not working for the person I'm copying. So let me show you how I look for competition to find my best idea. I'm going to start my search with my old favorite, Craigslist. Let's see if there are any copywriters posting right now. We don't have a lot of results, just 2. One of these is called the SEO Authorized Dealer Program. It sounds weird, but I'll give them a click to see if I'm wrong. Nope. It sounds awful and has absolutely nothing to do with copywriting. I'm seeing a lot of red flags that make me suspect this is a scam. So let's go back and try the gigs result. Share my yard to help dogs. What does this have to do with copywriting? Based on this search, nobody's advertising copywriting services on Craigslist. Let's spread our search a little wider and check out Upwork. We could search for other people with our skill set, jobs looking to hire right now, and projects posted by other freelancers that customers can hire for a flat rate. Copywriting is a skill that doesn't require you to be there in person, unlike photography or baking, so we can look for clients around the world. I want to see what other people are posting and what they're charging. These all start around $40 to $50 an hour, which is very cool. Most of these jobs say they will take 1 to 2 days, but that doesn't mean the freelancer will be working for 8 to 16 hours. It means they need a 2-day buffer because they're working with multiple clients. This is a good thing. Often these prices are just for the lowest level and there are more expensive options and upsells available. Many of these freelancers have worked on over 100 projects, so they are generating revenue on this platform. With a project, you're selling a predefined service at a flat rate. Basically, the freelancer defines the scope of the job rather than the client. They built this system out to compete with Fiverr, which clearly Upwork modeled their design on. The main way the platform works is that a client posts a job description and a price range. They then wait for proposals and negotiate with different people until they finally hire someone. Honestly, the process can be a lot of effort for someone who just needs a simple task done. like a little SEO optimized web content. So it makes sense to bypass that process for a 2-day job like this. You can see that these freelancers are getting lots of jobs and lots of reviews. This shows that there is a thriving market for copywriters and that you just need to get on some potential clients' radars to start getting work. This is a very positive sign. I want to try to find local work again. So let's do a little Google search for Nashville copywriters. We have a ton of ads. Our first few results are paid ads from companies located nowhere near Nashville. We have a Nashville company, a software tool, a random website. Indeed is a jobs board, so we don't want to look at that. This one is interesting to me. It's called emilywriteswell.com, and I definitely want to check it out. There are a couple of other results that seem actually relevant to what we're looking for, but at best, I think you're only competing with 3 people on this page. We can see there are some people paying for ads because they can't rank for this organically, but I see this page is wide open even if you're just beginning. Let's start with Emily's site and see what she's charging. A website audit is $297, a refresh is $647, and a full custom website is $2,397. These prices give you a really good baseline if you're wondering what to charge for your services in your area. Now you know what the competition is charging, and based on her website, I can tell she's getting work at these rates. If you want a full day of her undivided attention, that's $2,500. That's a little over $300 an hour, so now we have a sense of what an hour of her time is worth. Her website is very simple in that it provides no irrelevant information or distractions. It's driving you towards one action, hiring her as a copywriter. Let's take a look at another site. This one is called Nashville Copywriting Services, and immediately, not impressed. Above the fold is one banner that takes up the whole screen, and it's really boring. This looks like a generic copywriting service. Compared to the warmth and quality of Emily's presentation, her site is way better than my old SEO site. Let's check our third competitor, Char Vandermeer. Apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. This site is okay, but the main problem is that nothing on the website tells me who Char is or reminds me of Nashville. If you click on the Let's Connect button, it just sends an email. This is a very slow way of communicating. If your website has a phone number instant messaging option, you can close the client while they're waiting for Char to reply to that email. Fast communication is always a competitive edge. There are no prices on Char's site, but it's much better than the last one. At least this is a real person's website. I have a feeling Emily is closing most of the people who look for a copywriter this way. Her website is really clear. You know who you're hiring, her area of expertise, and what it's going to cost. You can see some of the projects Char has worked on, and they are in the Nashville area. This quick search gives me a lay of the land for local competition, and I would feel very comfortable moving back into Nashville and opening up a copywriting website tomorrow. I think there is enough work and the market is not crowded. Looking for clients this way is less intimidating than national platforms like Upwork, where you're competing with a much larger talent pool. I prefer to start local and build up my client book and my confidence. If you're not sure exactly what you want to do, you can go to Craigslist and just explore the services other people are offering. Click on the writing section of services and see what's there. Maybe we'll get inspired. I see business plans, literary editors, formatters, pitch deck designers, resume writers, and cover letter authors. There's a lot of work for writers, even songwriters. There are even people who will write your college application essays. That seems a little naughty to me, so I'm not sure about that. But you can see there are a lot of different opportunities just for writers. Let's try one more type of service that can only be local because it's dependent on your location. In some of my books, I talk about renting out your garage to bands. And let's see if that's a good idea in Nashville. It should be a great idea in Music City, USA. Let's search for band practice on Craigslist. These first results are guitar lessons, so let's try again. Here we go. This is a rehearsal studio. This is exactly what I want to find, and now I have another term I can search. I'm learning as I go along. It's quite inexpensive to soundproof my garage and turn it into a rehearsal studio for local bands. A little more equipment, and bands can even record in there. They're charging $33 an hour with a 3-hour minimum, so you need at least $100 to use this space. If you want the whole space to yourself, it's $400 a day with a 2-day minimum. If this business is fully booked, it could generate nearly $150,000 a year. That's a really decent return on your investment. Even if you dropped your price so that every high school band could afford you to $10 an hour and only operated 8 hours a day, that's an extra 30 grand a year. Your garage could pay off your car. Let's dig a little deeper into this ad. I think the name Drum Gym is pretty cool, but they appear to have 2 different names, which is a little bit confusing. You never want to confuse potential customers. They don't have any pictures of the location. How big is the rehearsal space? That's pretty important. Also, it's way out in Ashland City. From where I used to live in Nashville, that's over an hour drive. So it's a pretty inconvenient location. They do provide a green screen, air conditioning, and a set of drums. To copy their setup would be pretty affordable. You can get an amazing green screen setup with lights for a few $100s, and a basic set of drums is less than $1,000. I would probably wait until I started making revenue from my space before adding these features, but I can easily catch up to the competition. I'm not sure they are really on a 33-acre piece of land unless it's a farm or something, and I don't think that really adds value. I would rather practice my music somewhere close to where I live. Convenience is a stronger motivator, so I'm not worried about competing with that. It's a shame that they don't have any pictures because those would make a real difference. I'm starting to wonder if this is someone who read one of my books because they are modeling a lot of my ideas and I love it. Just wish there were some pictures. The return on investment for this project is pretty good. You only rent out the space for the hours you're at work, so your car's not in the garage anyway. And you recover your investment in the first few days of bookings. Let's try searching for the term rehearsal space to see if we can learn anything else. Most of these results aren't what I'm looking for until I get to monthly rehearsal space. This is someone actively looking for places to rehearse, and there appears to be only 1 or 2 other options right now. This is how I confirm my ideas are good ones in my area, and this research has me excited for this idea. Nashville has tons of music, and there is a big opportunity here. As a parent, I really don't want my kids practicing drums around the house. I would gladly pay for them to practice outside my hearing range. We want to see if there are other people doing similar work, if they're making money, and if there's room for us to enter the market. Based on this quick research, my answer is yes. Step 3, let people know. I'm a highly paid ghostwriter. If you watch my content going back to 2016, you can see that my pricing has continually gone up. I can tell you right now that I charge $40,000 to write a book for a client, and I only take 2 to 3 clients per year. It's a secondary revenue stream for me. I have taught thousands of people how to make money from the skill of writing. The number one question I get from followers is, Jonathan, how do you find clients? My response is always the same. How many people have you told that you're a ghostwriter? The answer is always none. If nobody knows what you do, nobody can hire you. The first step is to tell everyone you know what you're up to. Here's how I get all of my clients. I told all of my friends and business associates that I was a ghostwriter. Whenever someone tells one of those people they are working on a book but struggling, my name comes up. And suddenly, I have an email from a client asking me about what I do. I realize that I'm making it sound super easy, but if you don't do this first step, maybe just because you're shy, just realize that you're only hurting yourself. In addition to telling people who you know in person, you want to find platforms that will either allow you to expand your network or advertise directly. I'm a big fan of Meetup.com. You can find amazing events loaded with potential clients or people who will know potential clients. If you're selling a local service, you can start with Craigslist, and if you could do it for anyone in the world, then you can start with Upwork. Let me show you. There are a lot of great places we can let people know about our new service. The goal is to offer something that we can do over and over again. Let's take a look at the different areas of Craigslist services for inspiration. There's nothing good to sell on mobile, so that's probably not a good idea, at least in Nashville. Let's try beauty next. It looks like it's mostly massages and hair services, so there are some ideas in that category. Let's try financial services next, loans, bookkeeping, and accounting. There are a lot of opportunities. I like when I see that someone's been running the same ad for a long time. They're paying $5 each time they post, so it must be working. Seeing ads like these gets me excited. If they're getting enough clients to cover their ad spend with these, then I know I can get clients with my superior ads. I show exactly how you can do this in my video, Top 5 Business Ideas You Can Start Today. Seeing these poorly designed ads gets me really excited for you. The market's wide open. Let's look at creative services next. We can see photographers, illustrators, web designers. Some people have a lot of capital letters or fire emojis to try and get your attention. Why put all that effort in if you're going to say that you're budget friendly? We don't want to be the cheapest option. We want to always be the best option. And you shouldn't have to put that you're a real person. That's a red flag to me. It's like when someone promises me that they're not lying, I immediately start to suspect that they're lying. We can also see social media managers who can handle all the major channels. I find all the capital headlines more annoying than enticing, so I don't know that it's a great strategy to shout in all your posts. If you have a good subject line, it will get clicked either way. If you're doing anything creative from photography to drawing to web design, this is where you'll want to post what you're offering. Let's look at some of these ads now. This photographer is charging $100 per hour. If this were me, I would put a much better picture here. This picture is almost worse than no picture at all. What are the odds that someone is looking for a photographer to take pictures of skylines? Basically 0. You want to show pictures of real estate if you want to get hired by realtors, and just have some pictures of weddings and families. The pictures are your main advertisement, and the closer they match to what your customer wants to buy, the better. I'm from Nashville, and I don't think this is a very good picture of downtown. Before I hire a photographer, I want to see a portfolio. One picture just doesn't cut it. Next, we have an ad for illustration and design. This is much better because we can see a ton of his previous work. You know exactly what you're going to get when you hire him. We can see where he's located, and then he charges $35 per hour. His first mistake is that we don't know how long it takes him to create a logo. $35 as a logo is really decent for a new entrepreneur, but if it takes him 10 hours, then I would want to know that in advance. He says it's okay to text him, which I like because it's instant, but the phone number isn't on this ad. I guess you have to go to his website. The domain isn't listed in the actual text of the ad. You have to manually type scottross.com into your browser, and then you have to click on contact to find his phone number. Why make it so hard for people to hire you? With a few tweaks, I bet he could double or triple his client base. But this is overall one of the better ads on Craigslist right now. Let's look at the next ad, web developer. This ad isn't working for me. It seems to be for a guy named Peter, and it does have a local number, but somehow it feels a bit impersonal. Most of these examples seem to be WordPress themes, so these are really simple jobs. He says this is one of his amazing websites, so let's check it out. This is the first link in his portfolio, and it's clearly a basic WordPress install. You can't find out his price unless you call him, which is fine. Each website is a different amount of work for him, but the biggest red flag for me is his list of skills. He is an expert at WordPress and WooCommerce, SEO and content management, HTML, CSS, JS, PHP, Node.js, Python, Bootstrap, the mobile-friendly network, custom graphic design, conversion rate optimization, SQL and MySQL, Vue.js, Angular. These are a lot of really different skills that take a long time to master. You shouldn't claim to be a graphic designer unless you have some really great designs in your ad, like the last one you looked at. I have a staff of more than 10 people working for me, and none of them is an expert at so many different things. These are completely different job titles, so it makes me even more hesitant. I'd rather hire an expert at one thing than a jack of all trades. His number is local, so let's check out his website. Notice the wall of text on the bottom of his ad. He's trying to appear in every possible search result, from AutoCAD to Snapchat to floor plans. This isn't a good idea, as he'll get visits from a lot of people who are looking for a service he isn't even offering. This is a website. He has a barrage of trust logos. It's just too many in my opinion. I noticed that the phone number is completely different. His ad on Craigslist is for a Nashville number, but 717 is an area code in southern Pennsylvania. He might use a different number in each Craigslist ad so he can track where the leads are coming from, but they should all be the same area code. Confusion is the #1 reason people don't make purchases online. Scrolling down, we can see his pricing, starting at $80 for a digital business card, up to $5,500 for a 5-page website. He's got even more examples of his work at the bottom. I don't find this website very appealing, but it's okay. I'm sure it gets the job done. Let's look at our next ad. This is the GoGo Media Group. He'll help us crush our social media. This ad is missing that critical proof element. Don't show me logos, show me social profiles that you've worked on with massive followings. He does have his contact information, but come on. I know you can make a better ad than this if you watch the other videos on my channel. You'll start to get clients right out of the gate. Let's look at some more logo designers. There's no price, and the text is just super small. Everything is just way too hard to see. These logos are too small. They do have some interesting logos like Gangster Deck and Recovery. There's a baby with a tattoo, a cute little bee, and some other cool things. So this gives you a feel for advertising on Craigslist, but now let's take a look at Upwork. Let's look at some SEO projects. There are 21,000 people advertising SEO services on Upwork, and it's worth looking at Fiverr as well because it's very similar. Projects range from $20 and up. This is a great place to start advertising and letting people know what you're offering. We want to cast a wide net because different strategies are going to work for different people. When you're starting out, I just love using Meetup. It's where I got started, and it's the perfect place to practice your pitch and to see how people will react right in front of you. Let's take a look at Nashville again. When I started going to meetups way back in 2010, many of the people I met were just awful. They were socially awkward and pitched their businesses in the worst ways. I learned so much from what they did wrong. If I found it off-putting when people did it to me, I'm not going to do that to other people. Look for any meetups that are business-based. If you're offering musical services, then it would make sense to go to musical meetups. I prefer to start with groups where there's nobody I want to do business with. I want to make my mistakes in a group where I won't lose potential clients. Only after I've really got my messaging working do I start to go to the groups that have potential clients and contacts. Let's start with the Tennessee Real Estate Investors Group. There are probably a few real estate groups, so I want to try all of them. Real estate investors are all entrepreneurs who aren't my target audience. They are the perfect group to start with. I'm only interested in in-person events, not virtual, so I'm going to avoid any online-only groups. I need to be face-to-face to get value from these groups. I can see hiking groups and other social events. Pay attention to the size of the groups because larger is always better. We don't want to go to an event with only one person. We have social groups for 20-somethings, Microsoft groups, happy hours, and RPG players. Microsoft groups, happy hours, and RPG players. I do like to find groups for PR or Flax because they often know people who would be amazing clients for me. Here's a group with over 2,000 women programmers. That could be amazing if you fit into that demographic. If you're a coder, you should absolutely be in this group. Another real estate group, Nashville Business Networking. This is a great group. There are similar groups in every city in the world. Go to this meetup and pay attention to what you like and don't like. Then start to practice your pitch. You probably won't find a client at these events, but you will meet someone who will introduce you to a client. Investors, wholesalers, writers groups. That's interesting, especially if you're doing any services in the writing space, such as editing, formatting, proofreading, audiobook narration, or book cover design. This could be an amazing place to master your messaging. Enough browsing. Let's open up one of these groups and see what's inside. The Nashville Entrepreneurs Network has 2,858 members. This group is for active and aspiring small business owners. This group is awesome. Your goal is not to close clients at these meetups, but to spread the word about your new offer. The more people who know what you do, the more clients are going to find you. Some of these people will go to tons of networking events, and they can pass on what you do to more and more people. This is a powerful ripple effect. These events all say that there are only a few people coming. 2 to 5 attendees doesn't get me excited. Maybe nobody's going to meetups right now, or maybe they just show up without RSVPing. Right now, all of their meetings are online, so unfortunately, this isn't what we're looking for just yet. You can search the entire calendar for meetups that are in person only. Let's look at another group for real estate investors. Right away, we have an in-person event at Jonathan's Grill. Great name. We have a speaker from a group that I've never heard of, but I'm sure will interest people in the real estate market. They have happy hours and a lot of events for you to choose from. I prefer a happy hour to hearing someone speak because I'm going to network rather than to learn. This is a great place to practice your messaging and get the word out. You'll want a really clean business card that shows exactly what you do so that people can spread your message easily. The beauty of so many meetups is that if you mess up at one, you can just never go to that meetup again. There are tons of groups to choose from. Go to all of them. Practice your pitch and get comfortable talking about your business before you go to your ideal group. It doesn't matter what skill, service, asset, or connection you're leveraging, the principle is the same. Just pick meetups that match what you're selling. Meetup was a huge part of my marketing strategy when I started my SEO business in 2010. Have you found the asset you want to leverage? Let me know what it is in the comments below, and I'll help you monetize it this month. Step 4, build a website. Building a website doesn't need to be a lot of work or really expensive. If you do it all yourself, it should take you less than 3 days. If you pay someone else, you should spend less than $300. You don't need a fancy website. My first website for Nashville SEO Solutions, which no longer exists since I no longer live in Nashville, was garbage. And by garbage, I mean it had dark blue text on a black background. It was nearly impossible to read. I set up the site in less than a few hours using WordPress, and I had no idea what I was doing. If you need help starting your website, I have an entire video that I'll link you walking through the process. This is the Wayback Machine, which is named after a segment from the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. It's located at web.archive.org. You can type in the name of a website and see what it looked like at certain points in history. If you type in NashvilleSEOSolutions.com, you can see every time they scraped my website over the past decade. I only use this website for my first 2 years in business, so that's where we'll find most of the captures. Let's start by looking at the first iteration of my website. You can see that it was super basic and only the text seems to have survived here. This is from just a few weeks after I lost my job and was forced to start my first online business. We have a few pages such as contact information, privacy policy, SEO articles, which was just my blog, and what we do. This was a really basic website. This capture isn't showing all of the formatting of the original website. Originally, the website used blue text on a black background, which was very hard to read. The main goal of the website was to get people to call me, so I kept it very simple. My main promise is that I want to help people get more customers, and that's what people really want. I had some pretty good language, even though I didn't know anything about copywriting yet. And then I wrote articles that I was hoping would rank for the search terms I was targeting in the hopes of getting more traffic. I was writing about words like Nashville Internet Marketing and Nashville SEO because I knew people include a regional terms, such as a city or county in their search, want to hire someone local. And my ability to meet with people in person closed a lot of deals for me. My plan worked, and I was able to rank for these low competition terms. This is what my website looked for my 6 months in business, and here's a later capture of the next version of my website. At this point, I was really trying to get people to chat with me. I tried several versions of this using text applications, using chat applications and text messaging. Either way, I was responding to people with my phone. I wanted to get into communication with a potential client as quickly as possible. Text, chat messages, and phone calls were all superior to an email because I could talk to them while they were hot. I used an app at that time that would automatically respond to a text message with a series of questions. I had a form that would ask for your phone number and would immediately start sending text to you. The first question was, what is your website address? I would follow up with more automated questions so that I kept the client's attention even if I wasn't available to talk to them on the phone just yet. Here are the pages of this version of my website: home, about, services, guarantee, clients, pricing, contact. I had 3 big promises, including expertise that never sleeps. This was a huge mistake as it led to clients calling me 24 hours a day. These promises changed as I tested different versions of my website and learned from my mistakes. So if you look back at my website with the Wayback Machine, you will see how I changed each time something went wrong. Here's another old number of mine. Please don't call it because I don't own it anymore. I switched from a local number to a toll-free number, but I'm not sure that was the right decision. I wanted to seem more national, but really, my clients wanted to hire someone local. When I moved to Tampa, the toll-free number allowed me to get clients in both cities at the same time. Also, I had the site connected to my Twitter and blog posts so you could see proof that I knew about SEO. You could have been my affiliate at the time and received 10% for each client you send my way. Finally, we have the client login. I was working with a white label company who did all of the SEO work. They created a subdomain on my site and clients would log in and see all of their work underneath my branding. Here's the About page. We can see a testimonial from one of my clients. The website had a lot of these white bubble figures as I paid a graphic site for a big old pack of them. Still doing the same thing, saying I'm available every day and every night. This was my big promise to get clients when I was just starting out, and how I would answer the question of why they should choose me over another company. I would tell them that the other companies went home at 5 p.m. and if they had an emergency at night, there was no one answering the phone until tomorrow. You can see that I was really trying to get people to hit that chat button no matter what page they were looking at. If I could get someone to talk to me, there was a good chance I could close the sale. Live communication was the most effective for me. Let's take a look at the services page. This page changed a lot as I went through different iterations of my business. When I first started, my only offer was video SEO. I would record videos for clients and post them to dozens of video sites such as YouTube, Vimeo, Dailymotion, and a bunch of others that aren't around anymore. Then I began offering website SEO because clients kept asking for it. Once I started working with this white label company, I offered their services such as paid advertising, something that I never did for clients myself. You can see that I provide multiple ways for people to contact me, but I really wanted them to hit that chat button at the time. This website still didn't look that great, and yet I was making over $10,000 a month. Let's take a look at our clients. This is my proof page. These were my best case studies. Before I had any clients, I bought 3 websites and ranked them in Google. The clients didn't exist, but the proof was real because the sites existed and they were at the top of the search results. This client was my first real one, and she handed me that very first check for $200. NashvilleContractor.net was one of my demo case studies, and it was #1 for Nashville Contractor. If you clicked on it, you could see a longer case study. You can see when I built the site and when it was ranking for the top keyword. You don't need to have existing clients to have proof. If you want work as an article writer, you can write some demo articles to put in your portfolio until you get those first paying clients. I want you to take away that it's okay for your website to be less than perfect. It doesn't have to be amazing. Just start with what you can do now and improve it over time. Now it's time to look at pricing. At this stage, my prices were based on what my white label company was charging me. My prices continued to grow until I was charging thousands of dollars for the same services. The only thing that changed was my confidence. This is the exact website that paid for me to change my entire life. My very first profitable online venture. You don't have to be complicated or fancy to start. The most important thing is to make yourself reachable. Make it as easy for people to contact and hire you as possible. That's why I have email addresses, phone numbers, a chat box, and even a form they can fill out. You can see someone who left a comment asking for my services. That's a great lead that I want to connect with as quickly as possible. If you were visiting this website for the first time, you probably wouldn't realize that the gray button was clickable. I only know because I remember and later replaced it with a bright blue button that worked much better. You can see my name and picture here, so you know this really was my website. This is how easy it is to get started making your first dollars online. Just take action and be okay with imperfection. I know you can do the same thing as you begin to sell your expertise and leverage your most valuable skills and talents. You only need a couple of pages to your website in order to get clients. Most importantly, your website needs a way for people to contact you, ideally your phone number. You would be amazed how many people ask me why nobody is calling, and when I look, there's no phone number on their website. Make the number huge and put it in the top right corner of the page. When someone reaches out to you through your website, you have their undivided attention. Instead of price comparing or a bidding war like they have on Upwork, you can charge what you deserve. The client is deciding to hire you or not hire you. You avoid the entire bidding war nightmare. If your site doesn't look good, you can turn that into an asset. Tell your clients you spend so much time working on clients like them that you don't have time to work on the website. You aren't working on yourself, you're working on them. I used to say this all the time when my website was terrible. When I offered to spend time out of the hours they are paying for working on my website instead of theirs, every single client declined. You can frame your bad website into a reason you are the one you should hire. Step 5, put in the work. Starting a business is not easy no matter how many other videos say that it is. It takes work to get started. I created flyers and posted on Craigslist every 48 hours. I figured out the time of the day that got me the most phone calls, and I met so many people at cafes and coffee shops with free Wi-Fi when I was getting started. The #1 reason that I closed my first clients was a surprise. They all said the same thing to me. Jonathan, you were the first person to answer the phone. They called 5 Nashville SEO freelancers, and I was the first one to answer when they called. You want to talk to the person as quickly as possible. Find a way to answer that phone or text them back within 5 minutes. That's the critical time window. If you're working a full-time job and you can't answer the phone at work, you can set up a text automation system that sends them questions about their needs until you get off work and switch to a phone call. Get up early, stay up late, pound that pavement. This is the shortest path to making money online, but you have to add some effort to the recipe. You're gonna have good days and bad days. Know that going in. Don't let it discourage you. Just know that endurance is the main reason most small businesses succeed. Stay in the game and follow this pattern, and you'll start building that financial runway on the path to financial freedom. I mentioned my bestseller, Fire Your Boss, early in this video, and you get it 100% free right now on Amazon. Just go to johnlinks.com/fire. Did this video help you? Have you found the asset that you're going to leverage? Let me know in the comments below. I can't wait to chat with you there after the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again for being part of the Serve to Master family. I'm glad you liked my video. Maybe you'll like this one or this one next.